Welcome back to Gibbo MMA, and this is a UFC 319 preview for Dricus du Plessis versus Hamzat Chimaev for the middleweight title. And the excitement factors for this fight couldn't be any higher. Like, it has been it's a bit of a drag the past few weeks with the Apex cards and just kind of going through the motion, so you can definitely tell from the previous few weeks my excitement and sort of energy levels compared to now is just clear as daylight. Like, huge difference in excitement and wanting to just, yeah, can't wait to get into breaking down this card and, looking at the other fights and all the other headlines surrounding it, because this makes it all worth it right here. Like, this title fight has really reignited that spark again. Like I was saying, the past few weeks, it's been just going through the motions, but we're here now. It's worth it because DDP versus Hamzat, I called it. I'm saying it's going to be fight of the year. It's going to get fight of the night. I did a full breakdown video of DDP versus Hamzat Chimaev just on its own, breaking down that fight, because there's a lot to play at par. The stylistic matchups, both guys coming, both guys with big win streaks. Hamzat undefeated. So I go and watch that breakdown video. It's getting a lot of love. It's been my best video yet. Appreciate the support, but because I got to talk about all these other fights and what else is going on, UFC, big Paramount Plus deal, I won't be able to break down and give it the love it needs. So that's why I put out a video earlier this week. So go and check that out. But yeah, Chicago. This is where the fight takes place. Let's look at the landscape of this. So we're in Chicago. We haven't been there since 2019, where Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes. Shevchenko was the co-main, defending her belt for the 1000th time. But yeah, Chicago. It's very kind of flies under the radar. The city. It's the third largest city in the US. Has around 3.7 million people. The fight will take place at the United Center. And when you think of Chicago, you think Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan. The United Center holds 21,000 people. Like, there's just so much history in that building with the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan in his prime. And because I didn't think too much of it until watching the embedded, and when Dricus was in there and you see all of the banners and you're like, I'm literally getting to perform and fight where Michael Jordan, used to he literally owns that place, Michael Jordan. And to be able to be and get to perform in that same arena as what he did, that's pretty awesome. Very just, your inner child would just be cheering right now, because Michael Jordan's one of the biggest sporting figures of all time and one of the greatest. And yeah, I didn't think that at first, oh yeah, Chicago, but yeah, as you look more into it, there's a lot of history there. Walt, a lot of people have come out of Chicago: Walt Disney, Hugh Hefner, Playboy, Al Capone, in the mid 1920s, the roaring 20s, moved there and ran his, crime boss sort of bootlegging stuff there in Chicago. Yeah, I'd love to go to Chicago. I think probably in the summertime, like it is currently now over there, because yeah, it looks pretty cold, freezing, and snowy in the winter. But yeah, so the United Center is also home to the NHL hockey team, the Blackhawks. But yeah, Chicago putting it on. And what's I love about this sport so much is you don't, and with the nations and where people are from, where they fight out of, I was just looking at this. When have you ever seen a South African go up against a Chechen? Like, where do you see those two, people from those parts of the world verse each other or come together in anything? Like, I can only think of the Olympics, but, or yeah, like, because South Africa is just predominantly, rugby, cricket, soccer a little bit, but because Australia versus South Africa um, this weekend as well in the rugby, Australia's traveling over there. And yeah, I was just thinking, like, that's what's so good about the sport. Like, I've learned so much about different nations and cultures, especially that Eurasia area. Like, I never heard of Dagestan until Khabib came along, and as well as like Azerbaijan, the Kazakhstan. I know Kazakhstan because of Borat. They're nice, but like the Uzbekistans, the Kyrgyzstans, all the stans and the stands and all that. Like, yeah, this is what kind of fascinates me about this matchup and about UFC. It always surprises you. It's just like, when are you going to go to South African versus Chechen in anything? Chimaev now is actually a UAE citizen because, yeah, I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, Chechnya is a bit of a, has a rough sort of history. But um, yeah, with the main event, like Duplessis, Hamzat, Duplessis coming off that win earlier this year against Sean Strickland in Sydney. Just a dominant performance. DDP has just keeps getting better and better. And like with that fight, it was like DDP came there to fight against Strickland. And Strickland, he looked like he was just going through the motions. He just went there to spar almost. One guy was fighting and the other guy was sparring. And DDP just really, just way too skillful for Strickland. And I think DDP's very confident coming into this fight in himself. And then you look at Hamza coming off that win against Robert Whittaker 9 months ago, crushing his face essentially. And he's coming in super confident as well. Never lost. 14-0. And I think he's only gone to the cards twice. Otherwise, he's finished everyone else. So the odd makers have DDP as the underdog. It's paying like $3 or something. DDP. He's actually drifted out. Hamzat's come in at $1.40, and when you research and look around what's everyone's take on this, it's pretty 50-50. And when you get such a 50-50 like this, I have to go where the value is as far as a betting perspective. Because yeah, like, as far as who I think will win, I've always been leaning to DDP. Through when when I first saw this fight get announced, and with Hamza, like, will I be surprised if he wins? Absolutely not. Will I be surprised if he gets him out in the first round submission? Absolutely not. But I just think DDP will be able to stop that, and I'm banking on his experience. And just as he's getting better, he's really tough and going to be really hard to get out of there. And that's where I got DDP, winning it in the later rounds. Can you finish him? Can DDP finish Hamza? I think he can. He's just gonna have to get him into those later rounds 4 and 5, when the gas tank is on E. That's where my path to victory for DDP is. Weather the storm, take everything he's got, but also give it. And I think just banking on he can just stop Hunzup's game plan at the start and finish strong early. So yeah, I got DDP winning this fight. And what's interesting about this odds, you've got the co-main in Lerone Murphy and Aaron Pico. And it's weird because the undefeated fighter, so Chimaev is undefeated. Lerone Murphy is undefeated. And it's like, why is Lerone Murphy the outsider in this one against Aaron Pico, who isn't undefeated? He's making his debut in the UFC. a lot of questions around him. And when I see, you know, the logic, there's other parts to play, but when you see an undefeated fighter paying $1.40 in Hamzat, and then you see Lerone Murphy, who's a tried and tested undefeated fighter, also as the outside of $2.35. So I feel like, yeah, the bookies they got no idea about this. Their logic, they're playing, oh, excuse me, their logic for the Hamzat fighters are this guy's undefeated, never been, just super dominant. He's a favorite. And then they haven't applied that logic to Lerone Murphy. Obviously a bit different, but I thought that was pretty interesting with the odds for the main and co-main event. Excuse me. And if you're watching this, it will also be out on Spotify. If you like to just listen in the car or working out or on walks, that's how I consume a lot of podcasts, is on Spotify. So head over there, Gibbo MMA. Because yeah, with YouTube, you got to like leave your phone open. You can't just lock it and go about your business. So I do upload these to Spotify so you could just walk and listen and whatever. But yeah, Lerone Murphy, Aaron Pico. It was originally Movsar Evliov. He had to pull out. So Lerone Murphy steps up in this featherweight bout on 3 weeks' notice. And Aaron Pico is coming from Bellator PFL. And yeah, Aaron Pico's favorite in this. I don't know too much about him. Watch some highlights. Like he's, got some popularity around himself. He's 13-4, and as we've learned, like the PFL Bellator guys, it's a lot different over there. And he's lost to some questionable guys who just wouldn't do well in the UFC. He's got obviously a great wrestling background, Aaron Pico, but Lerone Murphy, man, he's 16-0. He's always ready. He's from Manchester. He's 8-0 in the UFC. He's fought a lot of tough guys. He's been getting a bit of shit because they were like decisions, but he's a smart fighter. And although he hasn't been knocking people out, like he's got 7 wins by knockout, 9 by decision. His last knockout was back in 2021. But like he's coming off that win against Josh Emmett. And as we know, Josh Emmett, such a dangerous guy, and like you don't want to let Emmett get that massive right hand on you, as you saw what he did to Bryson Mitchell. And then he beat Dan Ige, Edson Barboza, who is on this card. We'll get into that. Josh Kalibo, who's a tough Aussie fighter. So he's coming off like he's fought much tried and true, tested, experienced fighters than Aaron Pico, which is why I'm like, yeah, he's coming up on short notice, but like these guys, other than the weight stuff, they're always kind of ready to go, because the way this sport and UFC is like, you just get caught up on a week's notice. It happens all the time. There's a kid who just fought on the Dana White Contender Series, now fighting on this cards. And I believe it's the shortest turnaround in history. 4 days. He's fighting on 4 days' notice. I believe it's upper weight class. And it's just like, yeah. So I'm taking Lerone Murphy in this one. I think he's going to get the decision win. I think Aaron Pico is going to be a bit overwhelmed with this stage. It'd be great for Aaron Pico to win, because pretty much the winner of this may get the title shot against Volkanovski. I think they should just book Movsar Evliov when he's healthy. But, I watched the press conference earlier this morning, and man, Aaron Pico, like he said, he was like, holy shit, like, yeah, I'm just astonished with this crowd. And, he's welcome to the big boy league, Aaron. Welcome to the UFC. And we've seen other guys come in and, especially Patricio Pitbull on the big stage and the brighter lights, not necessarily do well. Patchy mix as well. So will Aaron Pico be able to step up and handle the bright lights, the pressure of the UFC? And he's coming up against a tough guy in Lerone Murphy. And that's why I got Lerone Murphy winning this fight. Let me know your thoughts on this, on the main and co-main event so far, who you think will win. But yeah, I got DDP and Lerone Murphy. Now, this card is a bit of a sleeper with the other fights on it. The main event is awesome, but there's other great fights on this card. So you're definitely getting your money's worth. If you're buying the pay-per-view, which is still alive, guys. The pay-per-views are still alive. USA, you lucky motherfuckers, you don't have to do pay-per-view next year. Here in Australia, we're locked down with ESPN Australia and Fox Sports main event, and they have our market locked up. So we will still have to be paying pay-per-view at this stage next year. Hopefully not, but yeah, Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. It's going to be another great matchup fight. Carlos Prates coming off that loss to Ian Gary. And, Ian Gary, I think he'll fight for a title event very soon. And that loss it's not a bad loss to have. That loss will age well. It doesn't take anything away from Prates. Looking at Prates' record, um, he was on an 11 fight win streak, and it was ended by Ian Gary, and he had 10 straight TKOs, Carlos Prates, during that 11 fight win streak. And you're just like, yeah, so this guy's fireworks. Carlos Prates. I'm just looking, I felt like there was another stat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so he had 10 straight TKOs, Carlos Prates, until he lost to Ian Gary. And he's versing Hands of Steel, Jeff Neal. And Jeff Neal's a tough guy, tough vet. It's crazy seeing in an interview Jeff Neal was still working as a waiter. Talk about, yeah, tough scenes. Jeff Neal is coming off that win against Rafael dos Anjos. Rafael got a leg injury during that. Jeff Neal also lost to Ian Gary, split decision. Jeff Neal lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov, but I think in this fight, 3 rounds, either guy could get finished. I could see it going the distance. Carlos Prates, if he had to beat Ian Gary, cigarettes and alcohol, probably ends up becoming the best base for MMA, because we thought he wouldn't have the gas tank against Ian Gary, but Prates proves everyone wrong. In that, in the 5th round, he was coming in hard and strong, and he almost finished Ian Gary. He had Ian Gary hurt in that fight in the 5th round, and we're thinking, oh, the cigarettes and alcohol that he consumes is bad for his cardio and his performances, but it ended up, shutting all that down. And yeah, that's going to be a fireworks fight. That one, Neal Prates, it's going to be very striking delight. I don't think Neal's going to try and grab a hold of him too much. I think, he might try against the cage, but I think, this is going to could be fight of the night, but I got the main event as fight of the night as per my bonuses predictions. And as far as bonuses, as guessing the bonuses, I've got, DDP fight of the night and Carlos Prates. I think he'll get a performance bonus. I think, if he goes out there and gets a stunning knockout over Jeff Neal, he'll get a bonus for sure. All right, moving down to the card, another great fight. Jared Cannonier versus MVP Michael Venom Page. This is super exciting fight again. On the main card, Michael Venom Page, of course, came over from Bellator. He's what is he? He's like a black belt karate or some taekwondo or something. Like, he's a point fighter. He's got that stand-up bouncy like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He was welterweight, but now he's moved up to middleweight because he's kind of been saying it's all political. You can't really get fights at the welterweight division because it's stacked right now. But he's a tough matchup for anybody, and not many people want to fight him. He's coming off that win against Shara Bullet, middleweight fight. He's super quick in the middleweight division. Like his in and out bouncing, counter striking, his blitzes are just so quick for these guys, and that's where I think Jared Cannonier is going to find problems in this matchup. Is just the speed. Think of like Israel Adesanya in his striking and like how crisp and quick it is, but then MVP, you know, is just another level in that quickness. He's not a traditional like kickboxer. He's really wide karate stance, bouncing in and out, a lot of front kicks, teeps, and then a lot of 1-2s in and out. And I think Jared Cannonier is gonna find the speed very hard to deal with. MVP fought Ian Gary. Man, Ian Gary's beat a lot of guys on this card. This is like the third guy we've talked about now in a decision. So the only real way to stop him is to just wrestle him with MVP, is to get a hold of him. And the only person that's been able to do that is in the UFC is Ian Gary. So yeah, I got MVP winning this fight. It's probably going to go the distance because Jared Cannonier, like he's a beast. Age appropriate matchmaking, like Cannonier is 40, MVP 38. 41 for Cannonier. He's fought for a title against Adesanya. Go watch it if you have the time, but it's not a barn burner. He's 11-8 in the UFC. He's coming off that great win against RoboCop Rodriguez, round 4 TKO. So like, he's a tough matchup. Even though he's a bit older, he's still got it. He was coming off back-to-back losses against Imamov and Kyle Borralho. But those are tough matchups. Those guys are top 5 guys who are now headlining UFC Paris next month. But he's beaten Vittori, he's beaten Sean Strickland, Derek Brunson, Kelvin Gastelum, and he used to fight at heavyweight, Jared Cannonier. So yeah, I got MVP with this via decision. Jared Cannonier, I think he'll have to get a hold of him and clinch him up against the cage a lot. He could finish MVP with just by having being more powerful, but I think MVP is too elusive, and I think he'll get his way to a points decision. Obviously, I would love to see a knockout, but I think that's the way it's going to go. And then the return of Tim Elliott and Kai Asakura, the Japanese fighter who fought Pantoja late last year and got beat in the flyweight bout. Tim Elliott, he's a flyweight vet. He's been on like a 2-year hiatus. Very well rounded, great grappling. I mean, he's 9-11 in the UFC. Pro record 20-13. Yeah, so Tim Elliott, his last fight was in 2023. He got the submission win over Summer Deji. Arm triangle choke, first round. Yeah, Tim Elliott, like he's just been so, I guess probably injuries or whatever, but yeah, just super inactive. But he's back. This is a great matchup with Kai Asakura. But yeah, like, geez, Tim Miller, he's been around for a long time. Like, he debuted in the UFC in 2016, so pretty much 10 years ago. He's the Ultimate Fighter Season 24 winner. Oh, no, sorry. Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah, he won the Ultimate Fighter. He's fought Demetrius Johnson for the belt, lost. Yeah, just because of the inactivity and whatnot, there's not much to really go off other than just all these sort of previous fights. But 7 wins by submission, 3 by TKO, 10 by decision. So I'm not sure what I'm going to get with this fight out of Tim Elliott. I'm not sure what we're going to see. Kaya Sakura coming over from Ryzen. He fought Pantoja in his UFC debut for the flyweight belt. Got finished in the first round submission. Oh, sorry, in the second rounds in submission by submission. Pantoja obviously, becoming one of the greatest flyweights of all time in his own right. So, and a tough way to kind of debut was really just because there was really no one else to fight Pantoja at the time. So, I think this is a good stepping board for Kai Sakura to get a win in the UFC and start building again. Because yeah, he's a fun fighter. The odds on this fight, he's paying $1.35, so he's a very short, pretty much short favorite. But Tim Elliott can come out and surprise us and get the veteran win. But I got Kai Sakura. Probably, yeah, I think he could definitely get him out of there by TKO. So that's the main card, and that's a great main card. Like that's worth $60 Australian here. You got to pay like 80 in the US. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this main event. And it's hard when you got so many good matchups to like really give it its flowers to break down. But I've only got kind of don't want to go on for too long, and a lot of things don't need to be said. Like just we know, I know, let's just watch it, let's enjoy it. And there's some other great fights on this card as we move into the prelims. Gerald Meerschaert, Michael Oleksiejczuk, I can't even say that, from Poland, middleweight bout. That's going to be a fun middleweight bout. I'm going to try and pronounce this. Michael Oleksiejczuk, fucking hell. Jessica Andrade, Lupe Godinez. That'll be a fun boxing bout essentially. Chase Hooper versus Alex Hernandez. I think Hooper could definitely get in there and submit him, but he's got to watch out for Hernandez, power punches. Because I can see Hernandez knocking him out. Edson Barboza. This guy versus Draker Close. This Barboza, man, like he's still fighting, and this it says here it's a lightweight bout, and like Barboza was fighting at bantamweight for a decent period of recent. So yeah, and like Barboza's been around for so long. Like you think of the Reebok era, the Venom era. And then before that, where the fighters could have their own sponsorships, like he's been around then. He's 39 years old. Yeah, but he's 18-12 in the UFC. Yeah, he beat Sadiq Yusuf last year with a great win. And he lost to Lerone Murphy in a decision loss. So he's still, competing with, the top guys. Like he made his UFC debut back in 2010, Barboza. 2010. And as we all know, he's got those crazy spinning wheel kicks, Muay Thai kicks, roundhouse kicks, and he's got that infamous wheel kick TKO win, knockout win. Go and watch that. Like Barboza is a special part in the UFC world. Like this guy's striking is just like him and Paul Felder had great fights. And yeah, if you don't know, like Paul Felder is now a commentator in the UFC, and like those two guys had some wars. And like Paul Felder talking about like the way Barboza kicks, and man, it's brutal. And yeah, Barboza, I believe, he spent a lot of his prime in the featherweight division, and then he went down to bantamweight, and then and now he's actually lightweight, featherweight, and then went to bantamweight, and now back up to lightweight. So he's very fluctuated around Barboza. So like, yeah, what's going to happen in this fight? I guess we'll just have to see. It's a pretty even fight, but I think Barboza can get in there and get the decision win. Then we move on to another good fight, Brian Battle versus Sultan Ruzabayev. The Sultan's like super tall guy, he's like 6'5". This fight's taking place at middleweight. So these both guys were actually welterweights, these two guys, but Brian Battle was having some issues at welterweight making weight in some of his previous fights. So this is a middleweight bout. Ruzabayev, super tall guy, um, and he's on a two-fight win streak. And Brian Battle's been on a great streak of his own. He kind of, you know, upset a few people with his last win over Randy Brown, split decision win. He lost weight. He just pressed him up against the cage for 3 rounds. Because last year at UFC Paris, he came out and finished Kevin Jessett. Great performance, got on the mic, played the heel, and was like, here we go. And then that performance with Randy Brown just, put a bit of, lost the fans a little bit in that way, lost weight, split decision win, bit of a carry on. I like Brian Battle, so this fight with Ruzabayev will be really interesting how he deals with the range and height of Ruzabayev. I think Brian Battle can get a win here for sure. And ooh, just lost that. And then we go to the first fight of the card. I know, and then we got Karine Silva versus Dion Barboza, women's fight. Silva's been great on the rise, so I got her. But yeah, Joseph, where is it? The guy who fought on Dana White Contender Series. Um, I don't even think they've updated the page. Shit. I think yeah, they haven't even updated the website UFC. The guy who fought on Dana White Contender Series coming in on 4 days' notice. Um, yeah, he steps in. He was at the press conference, so yeah, they haven't even updated the website UFC. I forgot his name. Mates with Hamzat, but yeah, so that's the card. Yeah, just had a bit of a. I was yeah. So there was a guy from Dana White Contender Series fought. Forgetting his name. He's now fighting on this card. 4 days notice, but yeah, that's UFC Chicago. So yeah, my bonuses are Fight of the Night, DDP Chimaev, Prates performance bonus, and Kaya Sakura performance bonus. Those are my bonuses. Comment below who you think will get the bonuses for this card. But yeah, DDP Chimaev, gonna be fireworks. Go and watch that breakdown video because yeah, I've spent pretty much 30 minutes just breaking down that fight in itself. An interesting stat I did see was, in the last year and a half, DDP has gone 14 rounds. So it was in his last 3 fights, he's gone 14 rounds. 10 rounds with Strickland and 4 rounds with Adesanya. And Hamzat Chimaev has gone 4 rounds in the past 3 years. So in double the time, he's gone 10 less rounds, essentially. So, and that's why I think this is going to get to the later rounds. I think, all those short, fights that Hamzat has been, he's kind of saved the wear and tear on his body to now really get into the grimy championship rounds for this fight. He's been saving, he's fought the 5 round with Whittaker, but he finished him in the first. But, I think his body's been saving him for this fight for an absolute war. DDP, his cardio is great, like, because there were issues earlier on, but he got that nose surgery done, cleared up the nostrils, and seems to made a big difference. But yeah, let me know who you think will win. Appreciate the support. I'm gonna yeah, keep it rolling. Consistency is king. But yeah, exciting fights for this card. I'm going to be doing the review as well for this, probably the next day, because yeah, there's a lot to take in after watching these events and getting the full take on it, watching the press conferences as well. I like to the post-fight presses, but I'll try and get that review out ASAP. But yeah, again, Hamza is going to go in there and try and take him down and submit him straight off the bat. And DDP said, this isn't a wrestling title. And that's very important. This isn't a wrestling match. This isn't a wrestling title. And DDP believes, he puts it all together so well. He's not the best wrestler, the best striker, the best grappler, but when you put it all together, he's the best fighter. And I very much believe that, and that's why I do have him winning, because he can, it's MMA, you got to be able to put it all together. And Hamzat being really, not really, but being more one-dimensional in the wrestling. When it comes to this kind of level, I think it's going to be hard to be able to use that and get himself the win. But bigger they are, the harder they fall. DDP is a big guy, so obviously once you get those big guys down, harder to get up. And Hamza, big guy as well, but he's not as thick. He's a bit leaner. And yeah, the old saying in rugby, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So if he does get DDP down, he's going to come crashing down. It's going to be, he would have trained to get back up onto his feet. Will he be able to do that with the control and dominance of Hamzat? I guess we'll just have to find out. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think it's pretty much inevitable DDP will get taken down just with the track record? Robert Whittaker in his press conference before the RDR fight said, like, DDP will get taken down to the mat. There's no question. But if Hamzat doesn't finish him there, what happens next? It's going to be very hard for Hamzat to win if you can't finish him once he gets him down. Because if DDP gets up, gets taken down again, but then he gets up again, and then now Hamzat's like, oh shit, like, I gotta use all that energy again to get this guy back down. And if he gets back up, both obviously expanding energy in that, but it's going to be interesting to see who breaks first. And I think Hamzat can break, because we saw it a little bit in that Kamaru Usman fight and in that Gilbert Burns fight. Once those guys started stopping his takedowns and engaging more in the striking, you could, and Hamzat gets wild too. You just start swinging, and you don't want to be swinging with DDP, because the angles he comes at you with those unorthodox blitzes, if he catches Hamzat on the chin, he's going down. So yeah, I think I'll wrap it up there, guys. Super excited for this. Let me know your thoughts. Be sure to subscribe. It really helps out on the channel. Go follow the Instagram, TikTok. I post reels and shorts of these breakdowns and preview shows as well. Be sure to leave a comment who you think will win the main event and why. You got to give me a reason too. You can't just disagree and not give a reason why. So, I like when people disagree with me, but you got to come up with rational and logical facts and reasoning. And but yeah, it's all fun. It's all love. Just yeah, love this sport and MMA, and gonna keep putting out as much content as possible as I can for you guys, the audience, because you guys decide what's good and what isn't. So let me know your thoughts, but enjoy the fights, guys. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you in the review show.